Yesterday, it was Citi's chief, Jane Fraser, talking about the economy, warning that the U.S. might be headed toward a recession.
Go to the States, it's compared to elsewhere in the world, it is good to be American. And I think we've seen the resiliency in the economy. Obviously, things are softening. We're anticipating that the Chairman Powell is going to have the rates, while they slow, that they're higher than the market would like, sure, and for longer. And that's therefore more likely to be a recession sometime in the second half of next year.
Pretty consistent with what she said all year, Jim, but your complaint this week has been that the bank CEOs are too gloomy.
Well, I just think they need to be more constructive. I'm not asking for optimism. I'm asking for constructive dialogue where you basically talk about, obviously there's risks, but there's also rewards. And the idea that you just kind of just say, listen, likely to enter a recession because they're looking at what the twos and the tens.
What's constructive dialogue, though, versus not being optimistic? What do you mean?
Okay, well, I think the idea that you're trying to decide, make a decision about whether we'll enter a recession or not, I think is when you're a banker, all right, and you're regarded as someone who is a statesperson that we listen to, I think it's very important to talk about the actual inputs. Do you see anything at your bank that indicates recession?
And don't you think that Jane Fraser or Jamie Dimon or David Solomon, I should just call him David Recession Solomon, can ask the guy, how's the weather, David? Recession.
Okay.
But you don't think that they're seeing things that bring this to the fore for them?
Well, I'm sure, but you can also be seeing things that are quite good. I mean, how do we have great cash balance and go into recession? How do we have such incredible job demand and go into recession? I think that you have to explain the quandary of what we could have and therefore open up the quizzical situation where everybody can get a job and yet we have recession. What kind of recession is that? I'd like to be able to see. It's difficult for me or for them to say, here's what an inflation environment can produce because we haven't been in one in a long time. I want more of a discussion about how you could have what you see in your dashboard and a recession, as opposed to just sticking your finger up and saying there's got to be a recession. That's all. I'm saying that when we look at things, we often wonder how they happen. And given the fact that these banks are very big banks and they have a good panoply of things, how did they reach this conclusion?
It's interesting because David's point about David Solomon, I mean, the house view at Goldman is that a recession is not likely.
Correct.
Which is strange. There's a weird split there.
Right. Now, look, you can't ask, I mean, maybe we're all supposed to love the fact that in a democracy you can have many different views. But I'm confused by Solomon versus Costin. I mean, I'm confused by Sembelis versus Dimon. These are really good strategists who have analyzed the situation, have fantastic empirical data, which would indicate otherwise. And yet their spokespeople have decided to make it so that we have a collective sense of gloom, which can be very self-fulfilling.
Do you think it's to get leverage to reduce headcount or do reductions in force or bring pay in?
I think you don't need that. You just do it. I mean, the great industrials know how to do that. I think that these people are just look. Actually, Goldman, I saw a department one day. There was a department, and then the next day I went down there, and the department had vanished, and no one said anything. But of course, it was a private company.
But you do seem to be questioning the motives behind it, to the extent that you don't think it's simply based on the fact that, as the chief executive, you do have a pretty broad view of the overall business lines.
Well, I think,
and you may be seeing things that give you concern.
Well, you may be seeing things that give you concern in the same sense that you know what, we had Hurricane Sandy. And Sandy's always given me concern since Sandy. But that doesn't mean that it should be front and center. I want to know how it's possible to have a view of a recession, given the fact that your bank is more solvent than it's ever been, and that therefore it should be able to help make it so that whatever happens, a slowdown, is muted. But more important, these people do not recognize their power. And I see and hear more people who say, you know what, I am not going to do what I was going to do because I heard Jamie Dimon. Now, if that's because people have very little trust in politicians. All Democrats say the economy's great. All Republicans say the economy's awful. So we can't trust them at all, right? They're the guys who you really can't trust. So we look for these neutral figures of banks, and we want to hear, well, look, does your consumer have more money in the bank than before? Is your consumer leverage? What's your situation with jobs? These are I want empirical not rhetoric, okay? I want empirical, not anecdotal. And I don't want to hear that, you know what, I feel there's a recession because I feel there's a recession. I mean, that's kind of like what Frank Slutin said to me when I asked him about your guidance. He's the CEO of Snowflake. And he said, the guidance is the guidance.
I know he did.
Well, there you go. Or maybe what Matt Furlong said at the end of the GameStop conference call. The path carries risk and is taking time, but it is the path we are on. I mean, these are the things you can say. And I would like a little more I don't want negative pablum. I want empirical data. And they have the empirical data because these banks are gigantic. They know more about the government than the government.